from the post-millennial. Misguided Keeping Families Together Act linked to increase in child mortality in Washington state. A disturbing rise in child deaths and near fatalities across Washington state has ignited intense backlash against the controversial Keeping Families Together Act, with critics accusing the law of keeping vulnerable children in dangerous homes with drug-addicted parents under a misguided attempt at family preservation. During a 4-hour meeting on Thursday, the Washington State Department of Youth, Children, and Families Oversight Board was presented with grim data from the Office of the Family and Children's Ombuds. OFCO Director Patrick Dowd revealed that 45 children died or nearly died between April and June of 2025, just 2 fewer than the already alarming 47 cases reported in the first quarter. Dowd said the deaths are a part of a growing trend his office could no longer ignore. We didn't want to give the impression that things are getting better when in fact we had preliminary information for 2025 that might paint a very different picture, Dowd told the board. We wanted to paint a picture of where things were headed. Who would have thought that if you allow heroin-using parents to keep children in houses with them, that there would be a rise in the mortality rate? This seems shocking to me.
But devil's advocate, I mean, do you trust these, child advocacy groups?
More than heroin addicts, yes.
I would agree with that. But still, I don't know. Some of these groups are just.
Look, the whole Pacific Northwest. You're from Washington, right?
Yeah, I was about to say. I've interviewed a lot of homeless people and drug addicts. Check it out on YouTube, 6'7" Kevin Drugs of the City, to see these documentaries where there's actual interviews of these moms that have had their children taken away, and then they said the children have been trafficked by these groups. And, I don't know what it's like, but these children also have a connection to the mother, and you're ripping the child away from the mom. And I heard these stories where the mom and the child, they would find each other. Like the child would run away from the protective service to find the mom every day, and stories like that. So if the services were better, I would agree. But I think that they're corrupt to the core too, just from the stories that I've heard.
Well, so you've got 2 options, right? You've got keeping children with the drug-using parents, or the state takes them. And the state, which is, you're articulating terrible results with that as well. Which is worse?
That's the question. Yeah, it's always picking of 2 evils.
That's everything. Look, Thomas Sowell says that there are no actual solutions. There are trade-offs. Mm-hmm. And everything. And that's a legitimate argument. There's never going to be a perfect solution for anything. You're going to do something, and there's going to be externalities, and then you have to make a decision. Are the externalities worse than before you started whatever policy that you're dealing with?
And you make a good point, but here's the thing too. You have to think of the emotional effect on the mother and things like that, because when they have their child taken away, then they double down on the drugs, and they overdose and things like that, because that's their connection to life at that point. And sometimes that transforms their lives. When they see the child, they're like, I'm going to do less drugs, not all the time, but having that child around, I think, is an inspiration for people to be better.
So I used to consider myself a libertarian, and I was pro legalization of most drugs because the argument was, well, it's bad to interject the state and have police have to pick people up for doing drugs, and you ruin lives because of it. And I think that the evidence that California, Portland, and Washington State or Portland and Seattle have given us, when you decriminalize the actual really hard drugs, I think that it's shown. That's really what changed my mind, because not only do you end up with people doing drugs, people that want to do drugs, they can't function in a normal life. So you get homeless people, because if you're trying to get heroin all the time, you always end up with a drug den. If you watch Breaking Bad, the houses that are in the show are based on what real drug dens and houses of heroin addicts and opiate users and whatever type of drug they use. That is really representative of what their houses look like. And it is not more compassionate to allow people to live on the streets or in filth and do drugs than to put them in prison to get them to stop, or put them into make make there be too much pressure for them to just sit around and do drugs, right? So you have to tell homeless people, move along. You can't just sit here, and you have to say, we're going to arrest you, because to allow them is to not just destroy their lives, but it's also to allow them to destroy neighborhoods and destroy the property of other people and the property values of other people and ruin the lives of people that just want to go to the park with their kids and et cetera. So I used to be like that, but I'm not anymore. And I'm interested in your take on that.
Oh, for sure. I think you're right on. I met a ton of folks that they said prison saved their life, that they were a drug addict, and when they went to prison, that's when they were forced to get off the drugs, and it was a terrible experience because they have like flu-like symptoms, their diarrhea, they feel terrible, but they weren't able to get the drugs, and that's how they got off of it. So I totally agree. And then when you look at the Northwest, like you said, I did a documentary on Portland because, in Oregon, they legalized all the drugs there. The repercussions of that is incredible. It's still being felt because addiction is still holding these people.
Well, I would argue it's the drugs' fault, though. I know that sounds crazy because there's a lot of people that use marijuana that are successful. There's functioning alcoholics. But now because of fentanyl, because of the synthetic opioids that are just so available and that are being smuggled in, it's just different. Like if everybody was just smoking weed, the world would be, we'd be a little dumber and slower, but it wouldn't be as bad. But now with these synthetic opioids that are just incredibly cheap, we're screwed. And until we stop China from importing them, just like they're going to be in everything. Because even if a person buys a Xanax, they buy a pain pill, it's all infected with fentanyl. If you buy cocaine or whatever, that's fentanyl on it. So I think the drugs have gotten so much worse recently, and that's kind of. Not that drugs are ever good, but like your position being more libertarian, I think maybe in the 90s.
Not anymore.
Well, I'm saying, not more, I don't agree with it. But like, I think there was a time it's like, maybe we should be lesser on drugs when drugs weren't as hard. Like, I remember the DARE program, like these drugs will kill you in one puff. That wasn't true then, I don't think. I mean, I guess there was Lynn Bias, the famous basketball player that was drafted that did cocaine and overdose. But now in this day and age, if you actually try a drug, there is a high possibility there's fentanyl in it and you can die. And that's not, hyperbole.
Well, I interviewed a DEA guy recently, and he told me there's 7 to 9 different drugs that are inside of each different hit now that people
like
are calling
ecstasy
fentanyl.
or whatever, or in the fentanyl. I'm saying everything has fentanyl in it now. Even if you buy a drug that you don't think is fentanyl, there's fentanyl in it. So you're saying even in the fentanyl, there's 10 different drugs in it?
They call it fentanyl, but it's not even fentanyl anymore. It's a mixture, of a bunch of different synthetics.
Like 10 years ago, like there, like a lot of people that I used to, like part of my friend group, I have been to at least 3 funerals of people that have died from heroin the first time they did it, and it probably wasn't just heroin.
No, it wasn't just heroin. Because I remember when I went to college, like I don't like pain pills; they make me sick. But that was like the OxyContin era, and that was bad. There's a lot of people that OD'd and died, but it's exponentially worse now. But we say all these stats. There's over 100,000 fentanyl drug overdoses this past year, but there's actually over 100,000 alcohol-related deaths. So actually, there's much more than that. I think alcohol-related deaths, there's like hundreds of thousands. So
including the car accidents.
Yeah, it's not. I don't even think it includes accidents either. So I'm saying alcohol really is the most dangerous drug, but that's socially acceptable. So when it comes to drugs, I kind of used to be like you two, like, hey, we should probably almost a little decriminalized. But now in this modern era, no, we do need to help people though when they get arrested for this.
And the term drugs is so vague because it especially with this divergence, diaspora of the fentanyl and weed, completely different realms of chemical. And that's like saying, how'd you get so fat? Food. And be like, well, wait.
It's a little vague.
Let's specify. What food are you talking
I would push back on that.
Yeah, I mean, it is food that makes you fat.
Like literally, like it's calories in versus calories out.
I always know because
if you get absolutely 100% always calories in versus calories out.
No, it's not.
You cannot get fat if you do not take in more calories
Ian's
than you burn.
Ian's going to say that that's not true because he can eat a bunch of calories and can't gain weight.
You know what a calorie is? It's a
unit of heat. Yeah,
it's produced by food in your body getting chemically changed. The vitamins in the food are also part of the transition.
The point that I'm making.
So you might have 5 calories from a piece of sugar or 5 calories from a piece of broccoli. They're different.
The point that I'm making is if you take in more calories every day than you burn, you will get fat.
You will store it.
You will store that energy. The heat will be stored. The energy, because that's what heat is energy. The energy that you are taking in from those calories, they will be stored in your body as fat. That is exactly how it works.
But
It's
Phil,
not
you
any
do know
more
this.
complex than that.
You are right. Like that's to the simplest point. But Ian, because Ian probably eats a lot of calories and his body just his metabolism is fast, right?
Sure.
So some people can't gain. Like you and I can probably gain weight. So that's why we have a different opinion than Ian.
That's 100% true. The metabolic rate of people is different, and someone's metabolic rate may be faster, and their resting, their daily burning of calories just from doing their normal activities is higher than someone else's. That's true. But if you lower the number of calories that you take in, you
don't take in calories. That's the thing. You take in food, and whether or not your body converts it into energy is depending on how healthy your body is.
It's calories in, calories out. Like if you take in less calories than you burn, you're going to lose weight. That's just the simplest.
But just because you eat the food doesn't mean you're going to burn it properly. If your body is
actually,
all fucked up.
he does have a point because celery has like negative calories, where it takes your body more calories to burn the celery. I mean, that's true.
I mean, so it takes more calories to chew, but the
there's
action
like
of chewing
there's
and
like stuff inside that takes your body more like.
well,
energy to
there's
burn.
very little actual like fiber and calorie content in celery. Is the point that you're making? Your body processing it, like picking it up, chewing it, swallowing it, processing it through your digestive tract takes more calories to do than the actual piece of celery has in it. So so you're right. Like I'm not disagreeing with you.
So I kind of tangented into food, but we're talking about just being specific with drugs, because I'm kind of with you, Phil, about legalizing drugs. I kind of rode the same wave. I still feel like weed should be legal. It stinks. I don't want people to smoke it in private buildings. I like the smoking ban in general. But like edible and stuff, that chemical, that whole, the way they made it illegal was like William Randolph Hearst in the 1920s had all the paper mills, and he had a bunch of trees, and he wanted to get a monopoly on the paper industry. So he made hemp. He got with Harry Anslinger in Congress and got them to make hemp illegal so that he could monopolize the paper industry.
They wrote a bunch of stories about how like people would smoke marijuana and like rape people, and they no, I swear, you look at it. What is it called? They
Reefer
made it
Madness.
Reefer Madness. It was about that. Like they made if you smoke marijuana, you're gonna go and have schizophrenia, and that was William Randolph Hearst.
It's a potent chemical for sure, but I think that.
Well, what's worse now is the Delta 9. It's a synthetic weed. I mean, have you ever had Delta 9?
I think so.
It is gross. Like I've tried it. Delta 9 or Delta 8 or what? Any of the synthetic marijuana.
Was it called Spice once, like 10 years ago?
Well, that's different. That stuff's really bad. But like I had a CBD sponsor, and I'm like, these CBD gummies don't get you high. No, they actually get you high, and they're terrible for you. And it's not like a clean high. It's like anything with synthetic weed in it it's gross. But that's what China. That's how they're able to smuggle in the fentanyl in their country. These. I guess like these, they're not a pharmaceutical company because they're making fentanyl. But what they do is they can add a chemical compound to it to make it legal. So it's like fentanyl, yada, 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 plus this element. So it's like how they make synthetic marijuana, the Delta 8. They add another chemical. So it's not just THC, it's THC-A. And that's how they have fentanyl. They have like a fentanyl B. So legally they can manufacture it and send it there because it's not technically the outlawed fentanyl that they make. So does that make sense? Like they can add a compound to it and make it legally. So that's why all the fentanyl is able to go to Mexico, and that's why they're able to smuggle it up the border, because in China, every time they shut one down, they just make more fentanyl with some other chemical, and then technically to the letter of the law, it's illegal for them to produce it. So that's what's happening with the synthetic weed is they get this hemp and then they add chemicals to it. And yes, you have an effect where it makes you feel like you're high, but it's not a good high. It's like it just makes you feel kind of sick almost.
The healing properties of CBD are fascinating, and that comes from just the plant itself, the cannabidiol. Worth looking into.
Thanks for checking out this clip from Timcast IRL. Make sure to watch the show live Monday through Friday at 8 p.m. Subscribe to this channel, and we will see you all there.